for digital coats of paint. I'm going to put up our presentation today. Just give me a second here. Should I have it all ready to go? Brett, let me know when you can see my desktop, okay?
Okay, I will let you know.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
are we there?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Digital coats of paint. Today, we're going to talk about some recent sales successes. So we're going to open the mic up and talk with you guys a little bit about that. We also want to talk a little bit about planning for 2016. It is going to be upon us before we know it. I mean, we're literally 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving. We are coming up on the holidays before we know it. So we want to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing for 2016. Talk about what we can do. So let's see here. Let me get to the next slide. Oops. All right. So again, success stories. And guys, what I want to do is we're going to open up the mic here in a few minutes. But we talk a lot about success stories related to wins in terms of sales. So success stories with sales. I want to open it up a little broader today and talk about success stories that might just be something like you got a hold of the person, or you got the appointment. That's a success. Maybe you didn't get the sale this time, but you did a really great presentation, or you did something that in your mind was really successful and helped move things along, not only with that perhaps process, but with your own sales knowledge or sales skills. So I'd like to hear from folks just on maybe something that's happened recently or within the last month or two that you guys felt like you really picked up on something that worked and you can share with the team, or that, again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a win in this case. We just want to hear something that you can share that's really positive. We sometimes hear about or focus on some of the negative. I want to hear some positive things today. Then we're going to just talk really briefly about planning for 2016. And part of that, we've got an article here that we pulled from Forbes that was just published at the end of September, and it's talking about some of the digital trends to look for in 2016. We're going to share that in just a minute. And there's some really interesting things on here, and I think part of the reason we want to share this is to help you guys talk when you're with customers about what's hot, what's coming up. If a customer says to you, yeah, we've done this before, it didn't work, what's upcoming? What's the next big thing? And this will give you a little bit more credibility when you're talking with them. Well, on the future is this, or there's some talk about this. We're just trying to help you figure out ways to be a little bit more, knowledgeable and credible when you're on these calls. And then we're going to open things up for questions, of course, and, of course, comments. So we're going to kick things off. Again, this is pulled from Forbes. I can send you the link if you want. This was written by Jason DeMers on September 29, 2015, and it's basically what his recommendations or research was in terms of top 7 online marketing trends that are really going to start dominating in 2016. So just kind of, we're going to go down the line. There's 7 things real quick here. So, one of the things that he recommended or said will be start dominating is video ads. And we've heard this before, but video ads, we've all seen them. Obviously, YouTube is dedicated to, just all those different videos, and really advertising platforms like Facebook and Bing are already using video advertising for their options for their customers. Basically, 2016 is not going to be any different at all. Google is getting on board with video advertising, and it's just a sign that people are really becoming more accepting of video ads online, and that the trend is really going to continue into 2016. What we're going to see is probably more types of video ads popping up in really unexpected places. So, Google is owner of YouTube, and we're just going to see a lot of growth in video ads. And that's something that we need to probably keep in mind when we're talking with our customers, especially when we're talking about like our own video production services, as well as pre-roll ads, things like that. We do have video offerings, and I think this is something we can, as salespeople, explore a little bit deeper. Okay. Next, app indexing is going to lead to an explosion of apps. So basically, Google has offered app indexing for a while, but ranking for apps is kind of more complex. So what they're saying here, the prediction is 2016 is going to be a year when business owners are really realizing that apps are working really well, and then having a dedicated app might be more important than actually having, like a mobile site. So apps, a mobile optimized site can work really well, but apps are going to actually start replacing them in the future. So really what they're even predicting is, like, in the next several years, apps may completely replace mobile websites as a medium. But what they're saying is that really 2016, or what Jason DeMers is suggesting, is that 2016 is going to be a really pivotal year in terms of more and more businesses taking on app adoption. So it's just something we need to keep in mind that, I know we build mobile sites and we talk about mobile sites, but apps might really be something to look for in the future. The next is mobile will just completely dominate desktop. I mean, 2015 we know was a huge year for mobile. Google announced that mobile traffic really overtook desktop traffic. We know that happened back in May of this year in 10 different countries. So not just in the States, 10 different countries. And it's also the year, this year was when they released what was called Mobilegeddon, which is that algorithm update that basically phased out sites that weren't optimized for mobile. So we know the importance of mobile. But basically what we're looking at here is that mobile is going to really still be forefront for 2016. According to what Jason wrote here, businesses don't necessarily have to have an optimized desktop site in addition to a mobile version. Basically, Google is saying that having even a mobile-only site with no desktop countertop is perfectly acceptable. We don't want to necessarily go that far yet with some of our customers, I know, but this is something that is going to become more and more prevalent. So basically what Google is saying is it's not going to drive down their rankings if they just have a mobile-only version. Again, this is a surprise, that this is just that push towards mobile dominance. Let's see here. So let's just move on to number 4. So digital assistants are going to lead to a new kind of optimization. So, search engine optimization and pay-per-click advertising, have always been two really popular strategies for getting seen by search engine visitors. But there's such a huge rise of digital assistants that this is going to lead to a new kind of optimization. So, programs like Siri and Cortana are really using traditional search engines, vocally. When you're talking to them, they're finding the information for you. So really what's going to happen is that there's going to be a lot of optimizing this new format to make sure that business information is accessible to these kinds of assistants. So rather than just the visual optimization, there's going to have to be some sort of background work that, these digital assistants are going to be also able to pick up that information. So rather than trying to funnel people to a site specifically, it's more like driving traffic to these kind of digital assistants that are helping. So that's another thing that was suggested for us to look for in 2016. So Brett, I think you were going to take over at number 5. So yeah. Do you want me to release control over to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything to add before I do that, Brett?
No, we can kind of talk about that after we get done with everything.
All right. But so no. You should have control, by the way. So okay. You should be able to go.
Let me know when you see my screen.
All right. I see your screen.
Okay, number 5 is virtual reality will emerge. This is something that's coming up. This is really kind of in the future, but it's starting to. There's companies out there that are starting to explore the area. Facebook is, I believe, Scott, did not Facebook buy Oculus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Oculus. Yes. I mean, Oculus is the big name out there, but there are a lot of other VR companies
But
that are
Facebook,
working
I'm pretty sure that Facebook bought Oculus, I think last year, something like that. So we know that if Facebook, number 2 site in the world, has bought Oculus, which is a virtual reality company, that they're definitely looking into that realm. And I know Google's working on their own thing with it. There's a lot of other systems, consoles, or when we talk about video game systems and all that stuff. Everyone, has their idea. I think about consoles and video games, and I know that I've looked into the future about that. Is that going to be more of a video game consoles as more of interactive cinema and interactive television, combining those things, because it's going to lead up to a whole different realm of things that we can't even imagine yet. And I know that with the new Gannett video that we had watched a few months back when Joyce and everyone from Michigan.com came, that they were looking into, they had a kind of a short snippet of someone wearing a VR set. I don't know how much we're actually exploring it as a company, but I know that we are definitely emerging. So for virtual reality, there are dozens of different virtual reality devices set to release in the next few years, some of which are dedicated for specific applications like video games, and others which are available for general use. Like we're talking about Oculus Rift, arguably the most hyped VR device, is set to release in the first quarter of 2016. Oculus Rift and other VR devices will introduce an entire new medium of online advertising with integration of popular social media platforms, video channels, and even forms of direct messaging. There's always a chance VR could fizzle as a temporary fad, but there are billions of dollars funding into limbo, ready to bet otherwise. In my opinion, I don't think that I think right now virtual reality might be a fad, but I believe that is the future. And we're talking about things like Minority Report and all these other, movies that were dictating or depicting what the future will be like. And I think semantic advertising combined with virtual reality, combined with augmented reality, will be the future. And hopefully, Gannett is really looking into those avenues. We haven't heard anything obviously into those realms, as they're still extremely new technologies, but that's something that is going to definitely change the landscape. Wearable technology and the Internet of Things will pave a new ground. As we're seeing with the smartwatches that are coming out, I know a lot of people, I talk about smartwatches and how they'll be a standard, 5-10 years in the future. And we kind of get snickered at and stuff. But I believe, I was talking about smartphones 10 years ago and how everyone was going to have a touchable device, or, they're going to have touchscreen technology everywhere on all phones. And some people kind of were questioning that. But now it's like, that's the new standard. I believe that the wearable devices, whether it's clothing or definitely the smartwatches, those are going to be coming out. And that's going to have new opportunities for advertising mediums, and I think it's not going to necessarily be in the form of display, but a lot of it's going to be in the form of semantics, and we'll talk about that later down the road. But
hey, Brett, sorry to interrupt. Can we just maybe tell them a little bit what Internet of Things refers to?
I was just getting into that. Yeah, Internet of Things. That's something I've been passionate about that probably I've never really talked to about and with anyone. It's something I've explored for years and years, and really it's the emergence from Web 2.0 into Web 3.0. And when we talk about Web 1.0, that's like 56K, static pages, it's Netscape, all that type of, right when the internet was introduced, where, everything was very static, pages were static, no social media. Web 2.0 was introduction of social media, collaboration of websites, integrating with other websites, and just Web 2.0 is where we're in right now. But when we're talking about the Internet of Things, that's Web 3.0. That's talking about devices talking with other devices, programs talking with other programs, your house being, integrated with your smartphone and apps, so you'll be able to control your app, your appliances or whatnot within your house, in your car, starting your car. That's going to lead into a whole realm of possibilities with advertising that we just can't even imagine right now. There's so much technology. There's so many technologies out there that will be developed that we won't even be able to understand at this point what that actually means. But we're seeing that right now with the smartwatches. We're seeing that starting to happen. And we're right at the end, I think, or getting start to the end of Web 2.0 into 3.0. And we're going to start seeing a lot more, different type of internet marketing products coming out that I believe that are going to be related around those type of devices. And so it's going to be a really exciting time, and we're really still in this just very beginning stages of technology and internet applications of technology, and what that means. So it's just going to open up a whole new realm, and it's good to be on top of these things, to know what's coming out, and to really understand what's coming down the road. So. We'll probably be looking into this more as the years go on. As a company, I hope that we will. But I know that it's definitely not a fad. When we're talking about the Internet of Things, it's definitely something that's coming around the corner, and something that all media companies are going to be looking into. But we just don't know the possibilities. I can't even comprehend the possibilities of what that means in terms of advertising. But it will be an exciting time when those things start to develop.
Yep.
Anything,
guys, the reason we're sharing all this information again, it's just to give you guys some lyrics to use if a customer brings up like, hey, where do you see things going? Again, these are just some small points, some little bullet points that you can talk about with some credibility. So I know we've got one more to cover, and then we can open up the mic for some success stories.
Number 7 is advertising will become more expensive. Competition in the online marketing world has increased dramatically over the course of the past few years. 2016 will see an increase even more. At the basic laws of economics suggest an increase in demand is often accompanied by an increase in price. So all those new online media competitors will drive the prices for online advertising even higher. Realistically, online ads are pretty cheap, but the increases in price may drive some smaller companies out of the landscape. So that's why it's really important to, as consultants, as people who are experts out there, is to educate our local community as to what is coming down. They look to people like us and people who are in the technology to actually increase to drive their business in the right direction. So we need to be versed, and we need to be knowledgeable on what is current, not only current, but what actually is coming down the road. So we can think in innovative thoughts, and we can start creating new ideas for just, even our own individual sites, and start putting together, some new products and new directions on what we think that, we can, align ourselves with where technology is going, where internet marketing is going, and also educate the community. And so, that's kind of our job, and that's what we do. We are going to go out there and educate, but we also want to give people the best solutions and give the best recommendations. So, like I said, Scott has just said this is just really an overview of some of the stuff that is coming in 2016 and the future. And for the first bullet point, online video is huge, and it's been huge actually for the last 5 years, but it's only increasing. So anytime that anyone has an idea about how to use video or how to integrate it within either our local.com or any other mediums out there, I know that we're looking into, and what I really want to get us in the direction I think Scott would like to also, is getting search retargeting pre-roll. That's something that I've been really looking for the answers for, because I know that we do offer that, and that's a huge thing that we can offer to our clients. And if they right now we're kind of going now segueing into success stories. We have a client right now, that we had talked to, and it's Leah and Janie and I went out, and they have a video. And we're talking about pre-roll. We're talking about putting it out there and combining, search retargeting with not only display ads, but having their video that they have as a short commercial, and putting that into a pre-roll type of format, so we can go out there and not only show display ads on a search retargeting basis, but also show their pre-roll videos on a search retargeting basis, because we know that video is high, and it's a very engaging, one of the most engaging mediums that we can provide our clients for their end users. So again, this is just kind of recapping what's coming around in 2016. Gets your mind thinking in a different direction and starts making you more creative. And I think that we'll probably provide you, every other, maybe once a month or every other month, we can start giving you some trends that are coming down the road and actually show you how we can start thinking about how to put these things together practically, and not just tell you what's coming down, but give you guys some ideas, and we can start putting our heads together as far as what we can do to start innovating, our own sites and our own products. As we're now transitioning from print slowly into digital, we need to understand how we can best utilize the technologies and the applications that are coming out there in the future.
Guys, real quick, I know we're kind of running out of time, but I do want to, nice job. I think this is a nice futuristic look at what is coming down the pipe, and it's very important to be educated in this space, and I think it's a great topic, and I hope everybody really kind of absorbs this stuff and is able to kind of be able to speak about it, and not losing the sight of making sure that you're just laser sharp on every product that we do have to offer right now, because our products right now are still phenomenal. This is just a futuristic look to what's coming, so you can have educated decisions and educated conversations. But I think earlier, and when I first got here, we brought to the table some articles as well that talked about 57% of the businesses. Brett said it's going to be more expensive. Well, not only may it be more expensive, but it's also going to be, the advertisers are wanting to spend more. And I can't remember the total. I'll recall that, recall that article. But it was something like, $5 million or $5 billion, something like that, that's going to be spent on advertising and increasing local ad budgets. And that means your local advertisers. So to Brett and Scott's point, it's on us to provide these amazing solutions and really get out of the business of very small, single-minded, very, very, thinking as far as, ad budgets, and know, before you walk in that door, where they're spending their money, what's going on with the competition. There's certain fundamental things that you're doing before you open that door, and all about that client. And that kind of goes back to the number one requirement of prep and plan in AdMall. I mean, that there is not an appointment or a door that you should walk through without pulling some information in AdMall. And if it's not in AdMall, then you can go singly to the sites, that we have given you, whether it be SpyFu, SEMrush, SEO Central. All of those things give you very, very information to have a extended digital conversation, because you don't earn the right to have this kind of conversation unless you have done the research. So, good topic, guys. I had to put my 2 cents in there. Again, futuristic. We have to stick, and focus on the products we have, but just know, this is kind of what the digital world is talking about. So take it over. Sorry, I had to jump in.
No, it's absolutely great points here, everyone. Well, we are kind of running out of time, so we want to at least open up the floor to just open discussion, success stories. Like I mentioned at the beginning, anything that you found a success, whether it's you got an appointment with someone, whether it's you reached someone a certain way, whether it's just, that you did an awesome presentation with someone, just share that with us. Again, it's open mic. Anybody who wants to jump in, feel free. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes here, so we'd like to hear from you.
I have something from yesterday. This is Julie. I had talked to Jeff Glover probably, 3 weeks ago, and he wanted us to wait until the beginning of the year, maybe end of January, to even talk. And with the new home finder that we're doing, that gave me a great reason to go back in early. So I went in there with that. I don't have an appointment yet, but I expect that we'll have one. So that was my success from yesterday.
Great. Good to hear. Thank you for sharing that, Julie. Really appreciate it. Actually, Brett just put up a screen. I found this great quote from Albert Einstein. I thought that would be really great to share with you guys. So he says, "If I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on it, I would use the first 55 minutes to determine the proper questions to ask. Really great quote. So anybody else want to share a success story?
Yeah, I had one this week with Rodermond. I ended up having to kind of go a little bit of the extra mile with him and contact Hearts on Fire directly. And it's a good thing I did, because I was able to get the proper creative from them for his co-op, as well as the guidelines, and ended up saving him all of his co-op dollars and kind of saving his tail. The way he was going about it, he probably wouldn't have gotten his reimbursement, and it would have been a big mess. So when I went back to him and told him what I had done, he was incredibly thankful and very happy about it.
Oh, that is awesome. Great job, man. I think, and that you bring up an awesome point too. It's like just taking that extra time and going the extra mile. Oh my gosh, it just establishes us as we care about that customer, and that we want to go the extra step to make sure that everything works out fine. That is awesome. I mean, I'm really glad that worked out too, because I know that's been, an ongoing challenge, and you always rise up to that challenge, and you really do a great job with it. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anyone else want to get to before we wrap things up?
Well, I just wanted to add one thing on kind of what Amanda was saying. When she's saying giving advice out there and having us have credibility. I think that's really crucial and that's really critical. That kind of reminds me of what we had the meeting yesterday, and maybe Leah can talk a little bit about that. That we met with an attorney in town, and we were really giving this attorney that doesn't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to digital, because obviously he's an attorney, his expertise are in the legal services. We were there as a consultative. We had that consultative approach, and we were giving him advice, and we were telling him maybe keep your current things. We're not trying to sell necessarily into just our products, but we're giving him an overview of our suggestions, and that really speaks so much. I mean, just to sit down and just to give some advice, even if we aren't trying to sell someone on something, just to give the advice, just to be consultants is, people pay money just for consulting. If we can do that and be transparent and be open, that's something that I think is crucial. I mean, that's a part of the sale as much as the relationship, as much as giving someone information. And, I think we're on a really good path with this particular client. It could possibly be really huge. And Leah, are you there? If you want to talk about kind of, a little bit of, because I think yesterday's meeting was pretty successful. And I think that going into next week that we will be, presenting a lot of solutions and recommendations that now, since we've talked to him with that consultative approach, that he'll be open to us. Is there anything that you took away from that particular meeting that we had and kind of discussing with him?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. You're coming
okay. Actually, one of the highlights I thought was that we actually did a SpyFu poll on his website, and we found out that he's actually spending just over $100 a month in PPC dollars. And we went in with that, and he had no idea that his current company was doing that. So I think that was a huge thing, because we basically told him that's money that he's wasting currently, because we found out from him that he only wants to target people in Livingston County, and every single keyword on that SpyFu poll was all Detroit and Oakland County. So he was we kind of caught him by surprise in what he's actually wasting currently with his company. So I thought that was a huge kind of win for us, kind of letting him know that we can help him out with that. So
yeah, knowing that when we saw that, we actually were bold enough to suggest, you need to stop that right now. You are absolutely throwing your money away and wasting $140 a month. There's 2 keywords. We could tell him how much he was paying per keyword, and that's absolutely not the business that he wanted. So we said, you can make a phone call and tell them to stop the PPC immediately. He's showing up well enough organically that we had the confidence that that would absolutely not hurt him. With his category and that low spend, he's not even showing up. There's absolutely no ads that will be delivering for him. So it was a good call, and Brett and Leah and I did a great job. But it's all about asking questions and having a very solid conversation. And we need to hold our lip as much as we can on these calls. You guys all know that 80-20 rule, but when you get them talking, they lead you down the path of a close every single time. And it just becomes a really good conversation. And, I think I've told all you guys, 90% of the time I can get out of people what they're spending and who they're spending with. And it's not right at the beginning. Sometimes it's a, slide in at the middle or the end. And we were able to leave with that too, which gives us a very good gauge of where we need to go and where we need to come in at as far as budget wise. So knowing their spend and knowing who they're doing business with. The beauty of it too, a lot of people are talking about, some of these smaller competitors. Whatever it is, Wayland is running this particular campaign, and they are not delivering the results that they needed, and they're not even giving analytics, and they're not giving any type of reporting, nor does he know how to understand it. So that's something that, when you have a campaign, giving that gives you so much more credibility. Once a month, it's all that needs to be done to go over their dashboard. So Dean, to your comment, we are going to start whiteboarding. Good point. After every meeting, guys, at this point, Livingston's on Friday. I don't know if Kelly is going to change it or not, but Livingston's on Friday. If you have an account that you want to whiteboard, we've already done it twice now. Once with Julie, and actually twice with Julie now. And we're really having some success with this. So after every meeting, if someone wants to bring an account and stay after the meeting, the managers and Brett and Scott have committed that they will stay after the meeting, and we will whiteboard any accounts. So that's a very, very good idea, and I think everybody in the room learns whether you have an account or not. I think everybody pulls away from ideas with that.
All right. Anybody else want to add anything before we wrap things up? All right. Well, thanks again for joining us. I think this was good information. It's really good, I think, that we share these things. It's almost sort of like an internal whiteboarding session when we're doing this. I think it helps us all think a little bit broader and get just good advice from our coworkers. Brett, anything you want to add, and then we can kind of wrap things up?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think the whiteboarding session's good. I think that's going to put us in another direction that's going to be, getting our brains thinking and open and transparent with what's really going on, put everything on the table. So, yeah, it's a good idea.
All right, guys. Well, good luck out there today. It's going to be a blustery, windy day, so, hopefully won't be too many problems. And you guys have a great afternoon. Good selling.